welcome everyone. So happy to have you here at Ecosinnova. So happy to have our special guest, Nathan Simmonds. Hello, Nathan. How are you? Is it Simons? Yeah? Did I pronounce it correctly? Simmons.
Simmons. Yeah. It's all good. It's
Simmons.
all good.
Yeah, I was thinking about it like Simon. And I have always thought it's Simmons. Today it just came up Simons. Okay,
It's
how
all
are
good.
you, Nathan?
I'm doing amazing. Yeah. I've had a really busy weekend, but again, I'm excited to have this conversation, but also the second conversation with you, and just see what comes up out of this.
Yes, great. Well, you have already done an amazing work, and we are here to share and show to people what you are creating behind the scenes because it's going to help a lot of people. And we need it a lot right now in this evolution that we are all having as humanity. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you. Yeah, it means a lot. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Okay, so welcome to everyone who's watching. Please leave us your comments, say hi as well, tell us from where you're watching us, and we will be so happy to know that you're there making part of this beautiful conversation. Okay, so in order to start, I'm going to introduce you a little bit more about our special guest so you know more about the work he has been doing for so many years. Okay, well, Nathan, he's a free mind rapid change hypnotherapist as well as a qualified leadership coach, an experienced psychedelic integration coach with over 15 years of experience in coaching and therapy. The majority of his time is now spent helping people reconcile their past, overcome childhood trauma, retrieve lost of or frozen parts of their psyche and soul, and helping remind them to love themselves in the way they always wish they had been. I think that's something we are doing a lot nowadays, all together, remembering who we really are.
Slowly but surely.
Mhm. He is recently working in the development of spirit medicine, a series of beautiful sacred animal activations collected together. 24 journeys have been written in books that you can use to guide others inward for meditations, for a shamanic ceremony, and if you are trained as a free mind facilitator, you can weave this in as well. So Nathan is going to be explaining us what being a hypnotherapist is, a coach, what free mind rapid change hypnotherapy means, and how all this relates to shamanism and the creation that he is doing at the moment, which is called spirit medicine. Okay, so we are going to start talking about art and also a really important word that is the word creator. Okay, so we are going to understand in Nathan works how this comes together art, the fact of being creator, and in this series of meetings that we are having in Ecosinnova, we are talking about art of the earth, which means that this creation, this art, is bringing us all together to understanding our connection to earth and our ancestral origins. So we are going to see with Nathan how all this comes together in his work. Okay, so tell us, Nathan, how you see art, how you see creation, and how it has started becoming so important in what you're doing in the present.
Mm. So there's a whole heap of stuff that's wrapped up in it. The first thing I would really love to kind of really express, Anna, is that I don't see myself as a shaman per se. I'm not trained necessarily in the shamanic pathway. What I do is very shamanic. What I'm exploring, the through the three mind rapid change hypnotherapy has a very shamanic feel to it, and that we're going and retrieving those lost parts of our souls. We're doing the soul retrieval work, which a lot of shamanic practitioners do. we're going in and speaking to the parts of us that have been pushed into shadow, that have been fragmented and that we disassociate from, and we're bringing those parts back together. And through the work that I do, I'm enabling people to walk themselves home, as Ram Dass says. So this is kind of the key, one of the big parts of the hypnotherapy work that we do. And in Free Mind, we call it rescuing kids. No, because if you saw a child experiencing potentially what you had experienced as a child, you wouldn't just stand there and do nothing. You'd go around there, you'd kick the door down, and you'd take that child away, and you'd say to that child, it's over, it's done. You know, enough is enough. You know, it's time to breathe. It's time to be who you are designed to be, in order to be that which you need to be, rather than living life based on what you think other people think of you, and trying to create safety and validation and getting your needs met based on how you were treated as a child. And it's in those moments it's really important we understand that, because when we have those childhood experiences, we start measuring our worth based on how we were treated. We start to believe that story about ourselves based on what we were taught about ourselves. And that's what really shuts us down as adults. You know, we learn all these coping strategies that hold us together as children but pull us apart as adults. So when we do this work, it really is taking people into a deep state of relaxation and letting them access those feelings and those parts of us. Now, the more that I've done this work, you know, with, 7 years of working with psychedelics myself and supporting other people, 3 years trained in hypnotherapy, I've seen this crossover with these aspects, you know, and they're so closely knit. And then the more that I've studied the ceremonial work and been in the ceremonial experiences, the more that I see how these aspects kind of link together. How you see a shamanic practitioner drum someone into trance, how they take them into that deep relaxation, how they use the flute or the harp or the drum or the whatever to take them into that space so they can access those parts, those wounded parts of themselves, and bring them home. Now, we've been doing that for millennia, you know, we've been doing that for thousands of years. But it really is, as we come to now, and we talked earlier about the eagle and the condor, that's this time now, is we use this complex language, we overuse our neocortex, we overthink about stuff, we keep ourselves trapped in our thoughts, you know, in the prison of our own mind. And actually through hypnotherapy, what we're doing is we're using those language patterns, we're using those clever words, and what we're doing is we're drawing people into that state of relaxation by using the words that they're overthinking with to help them to stop the thinking so they can pause and come more clearly into themselves. So this is kind of where this combination, this dovetailing happens, where these two worlds intersect and it becomes one. It's all the same thing, you know, all roads, as the saying goes, all roads lead to Rome, but in truth all roads lead us to our own hearts. And this is really important so we can get to this place, because for me, one of the things I often say to people is home is where the heart feels safest. And the first place we have to find that is inside ourselves. So when we come back to that heart and we really break this down, the word art sits so beautifully into heart anyway. Yeah. The art is something that we create from our heart. It is born from it. It is woven in it. It is, you know, when we heal those wounded parts of ourselves, that actually we can bring that energy online and we can manifest and bring what is in us out of us. I can't remember the parable, but it basically is Thomas along the lines of, you know, what's in you, if what's in you is kept in you, it will destroy you. And when you bring it out of you, it's your purpose, it's your life's drive, it's your inner design, it's your cellular contract, it's your cellular promise to yourself before you even stepped in it, your spiritual promise to yourself. And that's what you're here to bring into the world through your art, the art of living, the art of being, the art of who you are and your gifts. And we have to be in our heart in order to do that. Now, there's a difference between art and creation, I think, you know, in a physical sense. You know, we have the creation myths, we have giant turtles pulling up islands, we have fish hooks in kind of in the island kind of mythology, and all these different things. So we have these creations. But we have to understand, there's an art to it. There's an intention to it. It's where we put our attention then becomes our intention. And as we channel that, then this is where we kind of get this creation that is our art. It is who we are. It is our soul. It is our gift that we are creating and making manifest in this world. So we have to hold those awarenesses. Now, I know, with my explorations with AI technology and using AI apps and stuff, there is a difference between art and creation. And I think from what I'm seeing, there's a slight polarity, there's a slight disconnect between these two things. So that when we're actually in our heart and we are creating from that, we are bringing forth something that is of use, that is of service, that is of purpose, that is, full of meaning to me and servicing somebody else. It's me living and breathing who I am. And that when I create from that space, I am giving that gift to the world to help in order to heal or to support or, be of service. But I think a lot of the time that I'm seeing with especially AI artwork, there's a disconnect between this creation and the heart inspired action. So, it's really important we're starting to see the differentiations between us and how we're showing up and what we're bringing to the world. Because especially with AI art, there's this, in English, we call it a bone of contention. It's like a splinter, it's like a thorn in the side. It's something that frustrates and agitates some people, especially artists and creative people, people that are creating music or voiceover artists or artists, that are drawing and painting and creating from their heart. They're bringing that art alive. This AI technology is really causing some friction inside of that movement. And there are many people that are jumping into this, which is causing that fractionation, that splitting. So you'll see people that are concerned about losing jobs. Or you'll see people that are concerned about their artwork being abused or misused or whatever, or the fact that maybe their artwork won't be as sought after because you can go on an AI app and generate 15 pieces or 50 pieces of artwork, in less than 20 minutes. But is it driven from your heart? Is it a human? Is it a soul-fed creation? So it's looking at this intention and how we're driving it and how we're using these tools, because that's what they are, how we're using these tools to express parts of ourselves, to express parts of our work, to express our gifts, etc. And how do we use that as a foundation to touch more people, to access more of the world? So it's really important that we kind of start to see this and feel into it, and also to build some integrity around it as well. The one thing I wanted to do, and I know we'll probably talk about this more, but we'll pause for a question in a minute, is I'd already seen an article, and I wanted to read the article today, where someone is actually being sued for using somebody else's artwork or for using an image that contained another artist's artwork, which they created through AI art generators. So there are already kind of court cases, etc., which are starting to happen around the copyright infringements of this. So it's really important that actually as artists and creators, that we have to bear that in mind when we're doing these things. That, okay, how do we find the artist? Or how do we, if I create a piece of, if I create an image in AI tech, how do I make sure that, okay, if I'm creating money from that and resources from that, okay, how does that go back to that person? Or if that person suddenly steps forward and said, actually, that contains some of my artwork, okay, I have to go, okay, cool, thanks very much, I see this, and reroute the funds from anything that I make from that back to that individual, so that actually energetically, and it's reciprocal, that person gets the credit they need, or they are rightfully owed for that artwork, and also the remuneration for that as well. But on the other side, it also, looking at AI technology, it's also putting so much more power into the artists and into the creators of the world, because it's generating, it's giving me information, it's generating images that I could never afford to pay for, at a certain point. I couldn't, if I was going to create a deck of oracle cards, which I'm doing at the moment, You know, you're talking anywhere between 52 and 72 images. Now you can imagine the kind of how much that would potentially cost to work with an artist to create that, to do this, to do whatever. And actually, how long would that take? Whereas actually I could do that in 3 to 4 months with AI technology, and then do that completely on my own as well. But the ripple effect of me generating that, where I'm doing it with my intention and with my heart to pour it into that, to create these journeys, to create the images that go with it, actually means that I can get to more people, because people go, oh, many people said these pictures are beautiful, they're wonderful, okay, they're inspiring, they're engaging, you know, and that's then encouraging people to then come and experience a journey. A meditation process would be based on that animal that's in that image. So actually it's helping that person in a different way, but it's encouraging someone to see it and go, that's beautiful, I want to find out more about this. So there's kind of this interesting trade-off of energetic exchange.
Exactly. It's amazing, Nathan. And I think this gives us a really good introduction of the way you are using art in your work. And we are going to give more context to people to understand why we are talking about AI technology as part of
Mm.
your work. So, in this image that you see right now, you see images created by an AI technology,
Yep.
artificial intelligence technology. And what Nathan has been describing is that this type of work, normally you hire a person, an illustrator, a graphic designer to create this type of work. What Nathan is doing in order to create these journeys, these books that he's offering, is using AI technology in order to create these images to accompany the journeys. So, what is great from what Nathan is saying, and I really support what you're doing, is that you're doing it in a way in which you are conscious about the way you are using it, and at the same time, you are having more time and energy in order to give that energy to the work that you do, which is guide people through this deep journey. So
Yes.
it's not that the fact of you stopping being a therapist, a coach, a person who has been guiding people in order to start learning how to draw, for example, or waste or invest so much time of your life in finding the people who will do this for you. But life is bringing a tool that you are using it in a really great way in order for you to focus on what is important from the things that you do in creating these journeys. And at the same time, those technologies don't work on their own. Like, you are putting love and intention, what you were saying. I have an intention that I bring through my heart, and with that intention, I tell this technology how to work for me in order to create that image that I need. So there is intention, there is affection, there is love behind the scenes of using that technology, and that's what is really meaningful from the work that you do.
Yeah.
So, in order to continue, for you to tell us more about your work, I want to invite one of the spirit guides as well, which is the hummingbird, that has been super present for Ecosinnova as well. For me, I can say, like, in my personal life, the hummingbird has appeared as a guide. So I want to thank the hummingbird for that energy of bringing energy together, like from the north to the south, like from the people that maybe haven't heard from Ecosinnova or the work that we are doing here. I am in Colombia at the moment, and Nathan is in the UK. So the hummingbird energy is helping us bring together these two worlds, these two intentions, in order to bring a message of something beautiful that is happening in the world in many different ways. And these spirit animals are present in the shamanic ceremonies. And as Nathan is saying, these images also come from our soul. And that's what Nathan does through his work, that is helping us bring those parts of ourselves that are lost. So thank you to those spirit animals. Thank you to the jaguar as well. That is the one that grounds that energy of embodying what the hummingbird brings, like in the weaving of these worlds and intentions. And the jaguar brings it together to ground that energy. And this, at the same time, is like the protector of the rainforest and of the land, basically. So thank you for that, Nathan, because I know that in many ways the support of all this divine intention is behind your work. And I wanted to start also with this and also say that these images that you are seeing here are from the ones that Nathan has been creating with the use of this technology, because it's not only the technology on its own, but Nathan's intention and work behind the scenes creating this. So I let you to now tell us what you're here to share with us about all this beautiful creation that you are doing.
So I've been working with ayahuasca for maybe 3-4 years now. And I've sat medicine, several times, and there's been times that I've sat in ceremony when I've been supporting people, and I've been sat in the dark corner of the space, really sat there with the big yawns, like purging the system clearing, but really present with the energy of the jaguar there, Otorongo. Yeah, is really being there with that kind of that protective energy that sits at the edge of the darkness to hold the space. Really strong grounding energy, and also working with the great boa constrictor as well, which is often present in many of the ayahuasca experience. And over these last few years, I've experienced more journeys, more ceremonies, working with the Hummingbird tribe of Brazil, the Brazilian Amazon, and really exploring some of their culture as well, slowly but surely. I don't have the option yet to fly to Brazil. We're thinking of doing Brazil next year, but working as much as I can with this and understanding as much of how they see the ceremonial space. And at the end of last year, I signed up to start learning some of the Hunniquin traditional chants, the sacred songs of the ayahuasca experiences. And as I was learning this, still working as a hypnotherapist, as I was learning these songs, I suddenly had this inspiration at the beginning of the year, end of last year, beginning of this year. I was like, oh, but what if I could create a hypnotherapy journey where I could get you to take you into a deep relaxation, get you to meet the sacred spirit of the boa constrictor or the jaguar or the hummingbird or the eagle or whatever it is, and then use these traditional songs to sing you into an ayahuasca experience, but without the ayahuasca, to really induce that connection, to give you visual references from how I've understood things and how I've seen things, or visual interpretations of the metaphors that you have when you're in ceremony, and then really give that to people in a deep hypnosis so they can experience the healing energies of these animals, of the hummingbird, of the jaguar, of the eagle, of whatever animal came through. So there I am, with this idea. I'm going to create these 4 journeys that really kind of works with the core concepts of fundamental medicine wheel work, in that dynamic, and then explore that. And this was the beginning of the year, and I thought, okay, cool, I'll do some research, find out as much as I can, weave these stories together, weave a process together. And then someone told me about ChatGPT and how to you can ask it different questions to do research, or you can get it to write copy for your website and all of these things. I was like, that's interesting, let's go and explore this. So I start getting used to it. I'm asking it questions. Okay, what's the spiritual significance of the hummingbird to the Hunniquin tribe or Amazonian culture? What's the spiritual reference behind this? Okay, what does this look like? And asking it questions, and it's giving me all this information. But what happened was, when I normally write a journey and create an experience, you're talking maybe 2 days to write a full experience. So if I've got one-to-one clients, I'm going to speak to a client, and I'm going to spend then I'm going to spend maybe half an hour getting some information. Then I'm going to do, and it just takes time to create that process, maybe 2-3 weeks in all, in order to get the journey in the right place. Yeah. But with ChatGPT, that became less than 2 hours. So I can sit and ask it questions to do my research, to pull the information from the internet closer to me. So I got it there in front of me. And then I can start extracting elements of what it's sharing with me to then create a journey process and write that really quickly. So what happened, and I'll come back to, there's a point in there to come back to in a minute, but then what turned into 4 journeys, as I was getting this momentum through this exploration, 4 journeys turned into 16 journeys, turned into 20 journeys, turned into 24 journeys. I thought, well, I can do this for hummingbird, for jaguar, for boa constrictor, for the eagle. Okay, what else could I do it for? You know, and then lion, and then, you know, armadillo, and then crow, and then octopus, and then badger, and then fox, and then, so really tuning into all these different animal spirits that I have had interactions with in different ways. You know, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through the calling of creating these journeys, you know, it's really exploring my personal, spiritual, and emotional connection to those animals. And then also listening to other animals that are stepping in, because I'm creating these books in different ecosystems. So the first book is jungle and air. So it's jungle animals and then air animals initially. So really is looking at, the jungle is looking at the armadillo, the boa constrictor, the jaguar, these sorts of aspects. And then kind of stepping into the air, looking at hummingbird, eagle, I'm trying to think which were the other ones, when the crow is in there, owl is in there as well. So starting to really bunch these types of spiritual beings into their kind of ecosystem almost.
Mm-hmm.
So in the space of this is like, okay, it starts off as 4 journeys, and right now I'm sitting on journey 29. So I've written 29 journeys, you know, and I had 2 weeks off sick. So I had kind of the COVID flu thing as well. So we're now, you know, it's the 12th of March in this recording. I've written 29 journeys. I've got 2 more to write, and then that's all the journeys for book 4. And I've got ideas for another 3 or 4 books in my head ready to go, because of the speed at which I can then create and build. So, you know, this was the first part of the process. And then I started exploring the AI art technology, and it's just like, okay, let's try and create images that fit these things. So you simply write the words in, and, you know, what you want it to kind of call in and how you want the image to create, and then it creates images for you, and you can play with the images. And some of the images aren't very good because AI technology is still trying to learn how certain things work. Some of them are great, and then you grab the ones that really resonate, and then you kind of you shift them, and then you work with them. And these are the images that you've seen coming through. But then what happened for me as the creator and working in my art space with the hypnotherapy is I would create an image, and then the image would spark a new idea. And then that would come another journey or another opportunity or another conversation to have with somebody. So I'm using it to kind of, you know, to stimulate my creativity, to give me the nudges, to inspire me to speak to somebody else. You know, I created an image in one of them, and I thought that looks like an amazing label for a cacao brand. Maybe I should start my own cacao company and start selling cacao. And I'm just like, holy shit! Like, I've got, you know, I'm a therapist, I'm a coach. I don't have time for a cacao company. but I kept hold of the image because it was interesting. Now I'm just starting to have a realization through my meditations. Actually, that is meant to be the label for a cacao company, but it's not going to be my cacao company. It's going to be working with another cacao company as like a limited edition label brand for connecting more with my work. So you start to, if you're using it consciously, it can create and support and nudge you and guide you and inspire you. But this is the same with any of our things. If we are not doing it consciously or congruently, you know, we're missing the cues, we're missing the opportunities. We're going to create stuff that is malaligned, you know, that is out of tune, is dissonant. And it might look okay, but there'll be it will be disharmonic, and it won't sit right with the universe and the people you're connecting with, you know. So it's really tuning into how are you showing up and how are you using these tools. Now, and this is kind of like creating these journeys and then bouncing into the images, and then it's created this flow of activity, which is amazing, you know. So I started writing the journeys, and I started putting them into one book. And I was like, hold on, that book's too big. We need now to put it into 2 books, 3 books, 4 books. Yeah. I've got the scope for book 5. I've got another 2, 3 books, I kind of popping up over here as well. So it's just stimulating more creative force for me. And, I've been testing these journeys. I've been sharing with them with people, and I've been exploring at the reactions that they create, because each journey is designed to, work inside your subconscious mind to activate parts of your subconscious and your well-being. Different attributes of you, whether it's self-compassion, self-appreciation, manifestation, magic, joy, love, whatever it is, self-esteem. Each of the journeys provides 3 gifts, 3 medicines from each of the spirit animals in there. Now, when you're talking about the hummingbird is prevalent through South America and South American indigenous culture. But at the same time, and it varies. When you go to each culture or each civilization, there'll be a variation of a theme. But in truth, what the animals are a beautiful metaphor. They have characteristics about them that we can all draw upon. So, if you were to speak to anyone, what does a hummingbird mean to you? What does it represent to you? How can you embody that in your life? How can you bring that to life in your life? And as we start to tune into that animal essence, we then start showing up in a different way. Now, I mentioned this in the journey, in Brazilian, they call it beija-flor, the flower kisser. Yeah. So if you really, the way that I embody this is in the journey is if you look at how a hummingbird drinks the nectar of the flower, how it dips its beak so right into the depth of that plant to pull out the nectar and the love and the life inside of that nectar to feed it, even though it looks like it's working so hard and it's beating its wings so fast and it looks like it's but it takes that moment with each flower to kiss each flower as it passes by. And in the journey, what I do is I take people in to remember the flower that is actually within them. Wow. And to kiss the flower inside themselves, like the hummingbird kisses each and every flower. And it's just like remembering that thing that's in you that needs to blossom and bloom. So as we go into that process, we can activate that through hypnotherapy, through shamanic drumming trance, through deep meditation. So it doesn't matter if you're a yoga, doing yoga nidra or shamanic practice, or you're a hypnotherapist. It doesn't matter. You can use the journey as the core, as the main body of your journey to help people remember that within them. Because if people started remembering the gift and the flower that's actually inside of them and giving that the love and attention, the world would be an incredibly different place. So each of these journeys has evolved and developed and grown. Each animal bringing with it its own medicines, its own approaches, its own insights, working with that ecosystem of grasslands, of jungle, of air, Arctic spaces also coming, Arctic and fire and different elements and the ocean, just looking at each of the different animals, the sacred spirits, and what is it they're bringing. And how can we embody that in our lives and activate that in the system so that actually you can show up and be more present with yourself and also more present with the world and live your gifts in a much clearer way.
So amazing, Nathan. It's so beautiful and important the work you do, because as you are saying is like not only the fact of knowing that animals exist in the world and they are beautiful, but they live inside of us as well. Like they are a metaphor of who we are.
Yes.
And the example you gave about the hummingbird is so amazing, because in our therapy as well, it works that way. And in our dreams, we also dream in images. So our soul, the language of our soul is basically through images. And life is giving us hints through animals, and we know them, and you are taking people to remembering those parts of themselves that in some way or another are lost there, but it's bringing them back to ourselves and say, like, the center of everything is also inside of us, which we can see outside in all this beautiful creation. And those parts of myself that I see outside in a hummingbird, they live inside me too. So important, Nathan, what you're doing. So
Thank you.
grateful with this amazing work.
And
Yes.
this is, you know, the world is just showing us what's going on inside of us. So when we look at our traumas and our, you know, our developmental stuff and the things that we're holding on to, our relationships are reflective of that. The outside world is a direct reflection of how we feel inside ourselves, you know. Based on how we see ourselves is how we see the world. And if we start to then reconnect to nature, if we take time to go into green spaces, to put our bare feet on the bare soil and absorb that, and to take a moment to pause, to sit in quiet, to sit in that peace and just observe the animals and how the animals are interacting. You know, whether it is a crow, whether it is an owl, whether it is buffalo, whether it is lion, it doesn't matter. Each one is showing you a characteristic which exists in you because you are not separate from nature, you are nature. So as we reconnect to that, actually we reconnect to ourselves. Even if it's metaphorically, it's still activating us and reminding us. And of course, you know, in many of these journeys, I've woven in aspects to remind us to kind of look after the earth that we're walking on, to tread lightly, to get ourselves back into right relation, you know, to ourselves, to the world around us, to support how we see it differently. So that actually, as people see themselves differently, they'll see the world differently. As people look after themselves, they'll look after the world. So it's really important. For me, these journeys have been really important in writing them. Something else just popped in there. Was like, the other thing about these books, is you don't even have to use them as a meditation. And what I mean by this is you don't have to be doing yoga nidra. You don't have to be a hypnotherapist. You don't have to be a shamanic practitioner. You can actually buy these books and use them as a coaching tool. So each of the journey is like a story. So when we when we lead good hypnotherapy and good meditations, actually not even good, great hypnotherapy and great meditations, what we're doing is we're telling a story, we're narrating a story where the person's subconscious will fill in the blanks and activate stuff in them. So what we're doing is creating this container so that they will see the world they see it. And we'll add little details, but they'll see it the way they see it. They'll see this kind of tree. They'll see the jaguar in this kind of color. They'll feel this kind of thing in their bodies. Whatever it is, that's their experience. But we create an inner landscape with which for them to play in. Now, if you were to buy these books and read these meditations, and I also know this is true because the lady that's editing has edited and proofread the first one for me, she started reading the first journey. And there's some relaxation stuff in the part. It's not a full hypnosis script. There's relaxation suggestions in there. And as she was reading it, she could feel her eyes starting to close, and her head was starting to do this as she was already reading it. So it's, so we can read these, and they're almost like Aesop's fables for the subconscious mind. Yeah, because it's telling you a story. It's reminding you something about yourself. But also woven through it are coaching questions to ask yourself in many of the journeys, so that you can read the journey and read the story and feel the experience, because you're using your wonderful active imagination to do that, and then answer the questions and use them as journal prompts. So it's still encoding and embedding the activation, even if you're just reading it to yourself. And then also, to have it facilitated for you or you to guide that for somebody else, phenomenally powerful. But at the same time, you can do that for you on your own just by reading these journeys and seeing what comes up in the questions.
So amazing, Nathan. And now that you mentioned active imagination, it made me think about the work of Carl Jung, that he used active imagination as a way to encourage people who didn't remember their dreams in order to go deeper into themselves. So what you're doing basically through the journeys is to propose something like in those terms as well.
Yeah. And like you say, it comes back to the metaphor. It comes back to the dream state. It comes back to the subconscious. The subconscious doesn't work in words. It works in picture. It works in metaphor. And it wants you to feel things and explore the feelings and the imagery that comes up with that. But also knowing that all that imagery and all that stuff is you. It's inside you. No matter how scary it looks, it is you. It's a part of you. It's part of your archetypes, your persona, your psyche, so that you can hold that and then kind of nurture it and shift it and just work with the stories and flow and see what comes up along the way.
Exactly, and this brings me back to what we were talking about previously, before starting the live stream, about the way of unifying, like humanity, how we are all finding new ways to bring each other together as one. And what
Yes.
you're doing as well through this is reminding us that all those apparent parts of ourselves that are personified in an animal, they are here inside of us. So that helps us as well eventually to recognize that what is outside is also me, like it has the same essence, the same divine essence that breathes in me. So this has many different layers of understanding, and this works like in a symbolic way, and at the same time is really grounded in our daily life, in our experience, because these journeys also need like some integration. And I see that you also work on that as well, like the fact that all these things that move in our minds, then eventually in some way or another need to be integrated. They are not only images that we will remember, oh, I saw this image, and as in the ayahuasca ceremonies, for example, it's not just the fact of seeing images and remembering all these beautiful things that came through, but the fact of integrating them as something else that sometimes doesn't even have any meaning or interpretation. It's just like the fullness of what was expressed through different images. Maybe you can talk to us about the work that you do in psychedelic integration, and how could this be related to these journeys, or what do you recommend to people after doing these journeys on your spirit medicine books?
Yeah. And there's a couple of parts in there, when you're talking about kind of what's happening out here is also happening in here. And this is really, if we want to help shift the collective, if we want to help shift consciousness, if we want to, and heal is the wrong word, because it's not about healing, it's about bringing into that connection, that right relation. Yeah. If we want that to happen out there for the 8 billion people that are on the planet, that involves 8 billion individual people doing the reconciliation themselves. That it doesn't just happen out there, it happens in here. And the more people that do it in here, the more people out there will do it, because they will see it's possible, and they will see that you have the courage to do that work yourself. Because when we do this deeper work, it can look like and feel like that we need to have courage to start. And that is true in the beginning. But once we start to explore those feelings and those experiences, we then start to understand that actually there is this deeper learning in there, that we can shift those experiences to give us a more positive understanding of ourselves and awareness of ourselves, so that actually we can move forward. So we all have to do that integration part. And for me, really, the integration part is knowing that we have all these fragmented parts of our soul, of our psyche, for the experiences, and we're bringing them back into the whole. It's not that it's not that you are broken, you are not, unwell, you are not a problem. Yeah, you're not all of these things. You are whole and complete. It just happens that your pieces are a little bit mixed up. So as you do the integration, especially when we're doing things like psychedelics, or even with the hypnotherapy, and you don't need to do both of them together, by the way. Free mind rapid change hypnotherapy is a form of hypnotherapy. That's just it. And at the same time, you've got psychedelic integration and psychedelics as well, and they work beautifully parallel. And then there are crossovers, but they're two separate entities. Yeah. But the key thing is when we are doing hypnotherapy or psychedelics, I call it shaking the snow globe. It's like, when you were a kid and you had the snow globe and you had the castle in it with the unicorn or something, yeah, and you really shake it up, yeah, and then all the snow goes up, and then you can't see anything in there, yeah, because all the glitter's like swirling around. And everything's crazy, like, when you've done psychedelics, it's like, fucking hell, what's going on? Oh my God, this is too much. And sometimes it can be like this inside the hypnotherapy as well. But really, as we start to settle back down and we sit back and we rest into it rather than resisting it, we see the snow starts to settle. But as the snow settles, we see that the scenery is actually changed. And as a result of the scenery changing, life changes and the way that we show up changes. So it's really important that we understand that when we are shaking the snow globe with, yes, beautiful. And when we do the work inside our subconscious mind and we go to those deeper places, it can be like we're shaking the snow globe. Our reality is being really rocked, and it can be messy and confusing and disorientating. You know, like being in a snowstorm. You know, when you get in a snowstorm, you can go snowblind because it's all this, and it's just messing with your vision. So it's really, we let the snow settle, and we let the scenery change, and then we see how the world has changed according to the experience we've had. So for me, when I look at psychedelic integration, the first thing to really understand is the best integration is preparation. Right? And most people don't do this. Some do, most don't. Yeah. What is the reason you're going to use psychedelics? And psychedelics aren't for everyone. And I'm not going to advocate the use of psychedelics for everybody and any of the psychedelics. Doesn't matter which one it is. Yeah. In truth, you know, hypnotherapy is a psychedelic experience. Because psychedelic actually comes from the Greek word mind manifesting, or is it a combination of Greek words which means mind manifesting? So when we do deep hypnotherapy work, and I know you've experienced on my journeys, you are creating things in your mind. This is a psychedelic experience. Yeah. And many people think, oh, I'm going to go and drink ayahuasca and that's going to solve my life and all my problems will be gone, blah, 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 blah. And they're going to, I'm going to go to the jungle. I'm going to go and see the local practitioner or ayahuasca or whatever. And I'm going to drink ayahuasca and my life's going to be good. And that's it. But they don't understand that actually it's not a panacea. It's not a silver bullet. It's a lens with which to see the world. The same with the hypnotherapy. It's an ability to get insight. It's a way to go inward and see the world in a different way, to put it under a microscope or through a telescope, whatever it is, bring it closer. And then these tools will show you what they want to show you. And it's up to you what you do with that. But it's really important that when we go into when we say yes to a ceremony or psychedelics or whatever, that we really get clear on why we're going there and what we're doing. So wherever possible, when I've got time and I've got space to make sure I do it, 30 days of preparation. So you sit with the question, what is my intention for this ceremony? What am I really going there for? What's important about that? What is it I need to be doing now that's going to help that to happen? And just asking some of these questions. And you do that every single day for 30 days. So even if the ceremony was cancelled, because you've been asking those questions, you would be a fundamentally different person by the time you got to the ceremony anyway. Okay. So it's really about preparation and looking at diet as well. For some people, they really do this, is really kind of work out the best diet for the medicine that you're working with. And this is physiological stuff. Your microbiome changes depending on the types of foods you eat. So if you eat more meat, your microbiome will produce more flora to digest meat. So therefore, if you're using mushrooms or you're using ayahuasca and these things, these are vegetables. Yeah. So actually, are you supporting the integration, the ingesting or the integration of the medicine into your system with your microbiome? And your microbiome can change within 14 days. So, and you don't have to follow this, to strictly is reduce the amount of meat you're eating, increase the amount of vegetables you're eating before you get to that ceremony, if that's the medicines you're working with. Clear yourself, make yourself accessible to the medicine by having discipline and dedication to the yes that you said, the sacred yes of going into that experience. And then you have the experience. And then the experience can be, anything and everything and absolutely nothing. But it's really understanding why you're going there. What is the reason you're going there? And be open to receiving that and being really clear on where you are going and what you want to achieve. And this is really important because one of my teachers said to me, he said, when you set your intention, it's about where you want to be, not where you are. So when he sits medicine, when he does his work, he says, I always aim for freedom. That's his intention. Every time he does medicine, it's just freedom. So as he's moving towards it, what happens is the chain that is shackling his ankle, the chain that's holding him back, will go tight. And he says you can't cut a slack chain. So it's really important. But he's aiming for freedom. He's aiming for the thing he wants in his life. Because he's explained, and I know this with the work that I do, he said, you know, if you want to do shadow work, if you want to go and do medicines and do shadow work, you can do shadow work for all of this lifetime and all of the next lifetimes you ever come into, because you've got enough of your own shadow. There's enough, you know, community, socially, gender, collectively, you know, there's enough shadow there for you to work on that for, you know, eternity. So, but if you want to go out there and you want to expand yourself, is where do you want to be? And as you aim towards that and you use that as your intention of where you want to get to, yes, your emotions will come up. But if you're holding, prime example, my last ayahuasca ceremony was joy. I want more joy in my life. I want to experience, show me how to experience more joy in my life. And for the first night, I just cried. Tears of sorrow, weeping. And I knew what it was. It's because it's the opposite of joy. I was releasing myself from the sorrow, from the grief and those things, and I was letting all that stuff go so I could have more space for the joy. But I knew the joy was at the other end of it. So even though I was crying uncontrollably, I knew there was this light at the end of the tunnel, which was joy. And it was like, this is necessary right now so I can have more of that. Fantastic, go. But most people get caught in their own loop and get held in their own pain, and they don't know how to break it. Or they resist what the plant or what the medicine is showing them. And we know this in hypnotherapy with psychedelics. What you resist persists. What you push away pushes back harder. You know, and it's the same with the subconscious mind. The more you try and push the subconscious mind away because you don't like it, you hate how it's showing up, you hate your behaviors when you're with a certain person or your addictive traits, the more you push that away, the more it will turn the volume up on your addictions. Because it's the resistance that causes the persistence for it to show up in your existence. So it's just holding this awareness. So when we're in it, you know, we've set our intentions, we know what we want to experience, and we hold that and we call it in and we experience it, however it shows up. And then we have to do our integration. Yeah. So as long as, you know, we're doing our preparation, we're having the experience, and then we've got the integrations afterwards, is letting the snow globe settle depending on the experience we've had. Always. And so when I'm working with people doing this, is really helping people to use the subconscious mind to access the pained parts, the hurt parts, the bits that are stuck or frozen, so they can see what it is they need to work on. And they're already starting to do the work with the hypnotherapy. No plant medicine, just hypnotherapy, accessing, oh, there's this old memory. I didn't remember that. Oh, there's that memory of when I was abused or when I had this or whatever. Okay, cool. Let's bring that closer and give it some love. Let's clear the space for that. So actually, when you go and have your experience, you can get on with the experience you need to have rather than decluttering the stuff that's just, you know, slowing the system down. And then taking time afterwards, yes, settling. But also, what is the active imagination showing me? What is my subconscious brought forward for me? What other memories have come up? What was the experience? What was the metaphor behind that? How did you feel with that? What was it showing you? Now, this is when it gets really beautiful with the hypnotherapy, is with the hypnotherapy, I can take you back to the ayahuasca experience. So you can see the vision again, what's encoded into your subconscious, spiritually, emotionally, physically. And you can access that. And you can explore it and bring it forward. Yeah. Now, normally when I'm doing this work is really working with people that are psychedelic literate, that they know their own limitations. Because I have worked with people, you know, accessing some of these memories, not going to the full experience, but accessing the memory to understand the metaphor. And even in that, they've started purging again. So, you know, I'm working with people on Zoom. Yes, people know their kind of their limitations, and they know what to prepare. You know, they bring a small bucket, they bring their tissues with them. Not always, just sometimes. I mean, it's not like you. Oh, if I don't vomit in a session with Nathan, then it's not a decent session. No, it's not like that. Yeah, it's just like being prepared for that and going on that kind of psychedelic roller coaster that can come be with, and then making sure afterwards you have time to kind of again let things settle as you go into that a little bit deeper, and that awareness comes up, and letting that encode in the system so that thing that seed that was sown inside of you can expand based on your deeper access, your deeper awareness of that, so you can integrate and evolve and encourage it, you know, far quicker. and taking the time to do that, and then just holding those parts of you, letting the emotions flow through you, letting what needs to be released, letting what needs to grow. So when I work with an individual, it's really 3 to 4 weeks beforehand, having the experience, and then having time afterwards to then really kind of drop those sessions in there, and keep going back to those experiences just to hold those parts that need to come forward.
So amazing, Nathan. Like what you have been sharing is really crucial for the work you do. I want to share a little bit about my own experience. As you're saying, like during those experiences with ayahuasca, psychedelics, the mind, as you were explaining, as like psychedelic mind manifesting, the mind is manifesting whatever there is in it, like through images. If the person hasn't done previous work on themselves regarding understanding those images, it could be chaotic in many ways or the other because they don't know why that is happening. So it's really important what you're doing because you are allowing people to prepare themselves in order to have one of those experiences or eventually realize that they don't need it at all. Because, as you say, when a person decides to experience what it is to take certain plant medicines, it needs to be done with an intention, like knowing what you are expecting in some ways to get. Obviously, the best expectation is not having expectations as well, but it's really important to be mindful about what you're bringing to those spaces to yourself. In my case, for example, I had recently a ayahuasca experience, which was the first one that I had in my life, and I previously, like in other years of my life, I was like, people talk to me about ayahuasca, and I was like, no, I'm not ready for this. Like, I didn't feel it because I knew how active my mind was, how active. Like, my dreams were just like, wow. Like, I would remember every single detail. Also, like, in order to paint or different things, like, many ideas would come to my mind in such an abundance that I knew that for me it could be really chaotic to have an experience like that because I didn't want to open a door that was already open in many ways. So what I needed was the opposite, like to integrate, to understand. And in my journey, I have been able to well, like, walk through the teachings of Carl Jung, for example, knowing about symbolism, how to understand archetypes, why they appear in our lives, in our dreams, and that helped me a lot to start integrating those images. And when the day came for me to have the experience with ayahuasca, I was really surprised and at the same time super grateful with life because I was really grounded. Like, I mean, there were no any images at all. Like, I was just there in the space, experiencing what was going on with an instrument, with the feeling that I had of being sitting on a chair, seeing the people walking around. It was so peaceful, and I knew that the reason why it was like this, there might be many other reasons which I don't know, but what I could tell that was the reason was because of the deep work that I had been doing throughout my life in order to get there. So I think many people are doing this more and more to do it in a more conscious way, to take these journeys. And also, one of the things that came to my mind when you were explaining the importance of setting an intention, of knowing what to get from these journeys that you are offering through your spirit medicine books, is that if maybe you haven't done it yet, or if you have thought about it, to include like a specific part in the journey where people are able to set those intentions so they know what to experience, because you say at the same time that these journeys can be as powerful as a psychedelic or ayahuasca experience.
Yep. Yeah,
So do you Do you include that in your book?
Inside the book, actually, no, not so much. Why? Because more often than not is people have a question, so I trust the intuition. So when I'm
Mhm.
looking at, say, hummingbird journey or crow journey, and then a group of people turn up or show up for a live journey, they're going to interpret it however they're going to interpret it. It's going to connect with whatever's happening in their life at that point in time. They're going to see a relevance or a significance to that in that moment. So as they go into the journey, is I'm just getting them to relax and letting whatever come up, and then as they go into the journey, it's just holding things and it's just bringing things up. So as each of the animal teaches its medicine, it's naturally going to touch an aspect of every person's life in some way, shape, or form. So this is like primarily for spirit medicine. Now, if people are working and getting ready for a psychedelic experience, or working me one-to-one for hypnotherapy and doing trauma work, is like, yeah, really, what do you want to experience more of in your life? What is that thing that you want to get to? Okay, what's stopping you? What's showing up in your life at the moment that's causing that not to happen? And really, then we can start to explore that. Now, the other
Mhm.
part that I'm really kind of weaving together, especially for book 3, is really looking at the medicine wheel work. So I've worked with a medicine wheel practitioner before, and I've studied it before I was going into my first ayahuasca experience, and really holding each of the aspects. So as we step through each of the directions, whether it's 4 or 8 directions of north, south, east, west, and so on and so forth, each of those directions has a question with it, has a focus point. So when we use this, the medicine wheel with this, you could go to a traditional medicine wheel and it would be this animal here and this animal here, this. Okay, cool, great. Get those animals. If you're going to do medicine wheel work, find the animals in whatever volume, in whatever thing, and use that as a guided meditation for yourself or for somebody else. Cool. But at the same time, you can also use the medicine wheel work to say, actually, I have a question about my life right now. What's going on? What is it I'm birthing into the world? What is it I need, and looking at the questions around that. What journey would help you best at this point in time? Is it
Mhm.
crow medicine? Is it lion medicine? Is it manta ray? Is it whale? Is it, whatever? Is it narwhal? Is it octopus? Or whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just like trusting your intuition and saying, okay, this is what I'm birthing and these are the questions I've got. What journey would help me best right now? Just trust that intuition
Mhm.
and go
Mhm.
and listen to that journey, or read that journey. And then move to the other side, move from the east to the west. What's in the west? What is it you're creating body to? What are you bringing that? What are you building? Ask the questions. What journey would best support you in that moment? And just trusting the intuition that the gifts and the medicine in that animal spirit, in that sacred journey, is going to be the medicine that you need in that moment to invigorate something. Maybe it's more courage. Maybe it's more self-esteem. Maybe, I don't know, whatever it might be. The ability to see the future or to connect with your ancestors, whatever it is trusting that the medicine from that animal, with those questions that you asked at that direction in the medicine wheel, is the medicine that you need in that moment. So again, weaving back to this shamanic approach of going, there is no one tool. There are many tools, and there are the traditional tools. There is the indigenous, there is the ancient wisdoms, the earth wisdoms, and actually we can use them, and then we can weave in these newer approaches and create this neo-shamanic approach to help people get more into their hearts and to activate more of their selves so they can give more of their gifts.
Exactly, completely, Nathan. So important. And regarding how you bring this shamanic wisdom into your work, I want to share also that the word shaman comes from Siberia, which was shaman, and it means leader, doctor, and psychologist. There is also another word for that, which is misayuk, that means methodic or experimental shaman, that comes from the Quechua. And this type of shaman, to say it in a way, works in a way in which they indicate the brain where to work. So this has been previously done in indigenous communities and is still happening. And nowadays, like in the contemporary society, in the cultures that we all are in Western culture, we know that psychologists as well can be shamans in one way or the other. So, taking into account this, how do you see this happening in your work, Nathan? When you become a leader, also like a doctor in a way, a psychologist, how do you see this happening?
Yeah, and it was interesting because I knew there's the etymology of the word shaman coming from Siberia, but it seems to have kind of proliferated out of the whole world. So all of a sudden you have shamans in Peru, but they're not shamans in Peru. They're not shamans in Brazil. You know, you've got pages and curanderos and, you know, druids in the UK, etc. You know, but they're all called shamans now. So it seems like this word that captures everything. But the interesting thing is when you broke that down is talking about the leader, the doctor, the psychologist. So actually, you know, if with that is from my background as leadership development, as a leader in the corporate space, you know, as a trainer, and I still work as a leadership trainer, and I teach psychotherapy models to leaders. I'm teaching them how to speak to themselves, how to speak to other people, so they can help people, they can build stronger relationships with the people around them and get better results for their business, you know. But it's the same as this being a leader. You are a leader, you know, and it's understanding there's a gentleman I've met recently, Nicholas, I want to say Jarman. I can't remember the last name off the top, but his book is called Leader as Healer. You know, it's understanding that actually when you are a leader, you have huge responsibilities to people. And, you know, in this day and age, especially kind of in Western so-called civilization, yeah, there is so much mental health diagnosis, so many problems in the world, you know, overthinking, overwhelm, procrastinate, people stuck in procrastination, addictive behaviors. And actually, as I look at myself as a leader, how I would treat the people in my teams, I would treat the people in my teams like my children, not like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
because I want those people to supersede me. I want them to do better than I want them to get promoted. I want them to go out and get better pay than me and to live, you know, a better life than me. Because like a parent, no parent in their right mind wants their child to be equal to or less than them. So as when we do this as leaders, it's like, okay, how can I help this person to supersede me and thrive and go beyond anything that I've ever been capable of before? Because that's actually what human evolution and consciousness is based on. But most leaders, you know, leaders per se, you know, they're just trying to hold their people. I was like, well, I want to keep these good workers in my team. I don't want to see them flourish because that then means I have to work harder. Because if they then leave me, I'm going to have a problem. But we end up stagnating and causing toxicity in our relationships. So it's really about nurturing ourselves and other people to supersede where we ever were. So it's really when I'm working in that leadership space is I want people to move. When I work with people as a therapist, you know, if I'm working one-to-one with people, I don't want to work with you forever. You know, ideally I want to work with you, you know, for 12 sessions and we create, you know, some seismic shifts, which we can do. If I need to work with you longer, then that's also okay. But it's not my aspiration that I have, you know, you work with me for every week for the rest of your life. That's not why I'm here. You know, that's not what a leader's here for. A leader is someone that is showing a new possibility, that is lighting the way, so that actually I can hand the baton to you so that you can go and light the way for somebody else. Yeah, but most people don't see this. But then this becomes the interesting thing is when we're in leadership and we are being the parent they wish they had. You know, we are their work parents. You know, is we then end up having conversations with them that maybe their parents should have had with them, or we end up sharing things with them which they would never hear from their parents because it's too close. One of my teachers a few years ago, he used the phrase, "You cannot be a prophet in your own land."
Yeah. We
Yeah,
use that too.
yeah, which is like
In Spanish is nadie es profeta en su propia tierra. It's the same one.
yeah. But this is why many people, you know, won't listen to their parents. You need someone external. So you need a leader. You need an elder. You need a tribal chief. You need a community of conscious, matured minds in order to help guide the people in that. And that's what a leader is around. But then it comes to this doctor and this psychologist. I have to understand your behaviors. I have to understand what's going on for you. I have to understand what's going on in your active imagination, in your beautiful subconscious mind, and how that's showing up in your behaviors and your real world, and showing this, and helping people explore that and open it and care for it and nurture it in different ways. And like you said, that last one, the Mr. Yuke, is really helping people to understand what part of their brain is being activated, whether or not it's with neuroscience and it's really with biology, because it's still showing us what's happening psychologically, and psychologically is showing us what's happening neurologically. So it's not like they're two separate things. They're intertwined. So actually, as we go into that experience, and we can be methodic, and we can be the leader, and we can be the coach, and we can be the psychologist, and we can be the holder of space, that person can rewire their brain biologically, emotionally, and spiritually, and fundamentally come back as a different person to live their fullest expression of their fullest life.
So beautiful, Nathan. Really important what you're doing. And I think like relating this to the work that you're doing at the moment, it's so beautiful the way you are like giving people the baton. As you're saying, I like that metaphor as well, because I used to do athletics in the school and be in competitions where you pass the baton to other people. And I love that metaphor because that's what we are doing as humanity. Like, we don't need other people to go through the same things that we have already gone through. And as therapists, we also know that that's what we bring when we hold the space for other people. Like, we have gone through certain specific experiences, and we have that space so people can go further with that guidance. And what you're saying of not having to extend certain processes of being with a client, for example, you help people like to also release themselves from that contract, let's say, and to understand that that leader is inside themselves. And I think what you're doing through spirit medicine, like these beautiful deep journeys, is basically leaving the baton for people to start realizing that they can do it on their own. So with all this experience that you have been having of understanding how it is for you to be there present, guiding a journey, now you are, life is giving you the chance to start releasing a little bit of that, to know that they will be okay on their own going through the journey. So I think it's related, like this passing of the baton with spirit medicine and this creation of journeys, because it's like another level of the way you have been working so far.
Yeah. And it's an expansion of that. My teacher and friend Tom Fortis Mayer, we've talked about this before, and we've run courses around this. When we look at meditation and we look at certain practices, many people are missing kind of some real profound fundamentals to actually get people into deeper, more profound states of relaxation. And we've talked about that, of the frustrations, and kind of laughed and joked about certain things and developed ideas. And we've been teaching people how to use hypnotic language patterns in order to create these profound states of relaxation. No, it's not just taking a few breaths and close your eyes and you're tiptoeing through the tulips and here's your power penguin and all these things. It just doesn't work like this, yeah? So we've been teaching people how to do this. But at the same time, there's also, giving people access to these things, giving people access to these tools, so that they can learn these language patterns and develop them and use them in yoga nidra or in their reflexology or their Reiki sessions or whatever, and create deep states of profound permanent shifts and peace inside people, and do their deeper healing, which is what it's really about. So giving people these books is also an opportunity for people to start doing the work on themselves. If they're not ready to speak to someone else, they can just follow it along on their own. But also, if they are a practitioner, a hypnotherapist of whatever ilk, of whatever family, modality, doesn't matter, they can use these to start kind of supporting. If they're a shamanic practitioner or they're learning shamanism, they can use these journeys. They can add it into what they're doing so that they can touch more people. It gives people, instant access to content that they can then use to help somebody or help themselves. And you know, the more of this content that's available, the better, because then you'll plug into the right piece of medicine for you at the right time in order to support you, somebody else.
Completely. Thank you, Nathan. I think it's really amazing, and I really hope many more people would make the most of these journeys. And I want you to invite us, maybe like to know a little bit more about the stage in which that the development of those journeys are, and what we can expect in the future months in terms of where to get them as well, or how are you going to make these journeys available to people. I'm going to leave your social media at the end, of course, in order for people to contact you, but tell us a little bit more about how this distribution is going to happen.
Yeah, so the first stage, book 1 is ready to go. I've created that. It's good to go. It's been proofread. My plan is that it will be released onto Amazon in the next 4 weeks. Excuse me, I'm just going to cough 2 seconds.
Don't worry.
It's going to be released on Amazon in the next 4 weeks, but I've just hit that little hiccup where I need someone to convert it to Kindle. So I'm just finding the right person who can convert it to Kindle to get it on as an ebook, because I really want to make sure that everyone can access it wherever they are. Book 2 ready to go is being proofed at the moment, so that will come out. I'm hoping once I get this in kind of momentum, it will be 4 to 6 weeks. There'll be a new book out every 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
And that will continue, I'm hoping, probably for the next 12 months at least. So there's going to be a serious body of work of animal journeys, tree meditations, astrological, crystals, full works, it's kind of creating these journeys, all woven together with some of the hypnotic language patterns and relaxation techniques, just to help people get into those deep places. So I'm hoping 4 weeks time, book 1 will be available. That's the plan. And that's jungle and air. So it's the jungle animals, 4 jungle journeys and 4 air journeys, the 4 air spirits that are included in that one. But if you wish to experience this, I have been running these journeys as well as part of my new moon journeys. So every new moon, I lead a guided meditation using free mind rapid change hypnotherapy techniques to take people in super deep, and then guiding them into the subconscious and connecting them with these different animals. And I do these on the new moons because the new moon is a super energetic time, and more people are open and attuned to it and aware of it. So this is a good time for it. But just because I use this journey on that new moon doesn't mean it's just for the new moon. You can use it whenever you want. I just know that energetically people are more receptive and open to what's going on. So when we drop in and we connect with the spirit of the whale or the sea turtle or the, I don't know, whatever else, like this list of the bufo toad, the cambo frog, all of these things, So the jungle, one of the jungle journeys is the cambo frog. The bufo journey is for the desert, so that's you're going to meet the bufo ovarius toad. So all these different aspects, of my medicine experiences, my meditations, things that I've learned, physical interactions, spiritual interactions, and there are even some mythical creatures in there as well. The Quetzalcoatl, from Mexican Mazatec.
Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl.
Yes. So there's also a journey to meet the winged serpent as well. So there's all these different aspects in there of energies that I've really tuned into over the last couple of years, 2, 3, 4, 7 years with this medicine work.
The unicorn. No, well, I mean, for a specific part of the world, like, it's super important.
Yeah, no, my daughter's like, yeah, you got to do a unicorn. You got to do a fantasy animal, like a unicorn and a phoenix and the dragons, and so dragons and phoenix are on their way for volume 5 when that one starts to form.
Wow.
So it's there. So it's really just tuning into those spirit animals, and using them. So this is going to come up. But so come on the new moon journeys. Come and experience one of those journeys. Whether it's one of the sacred animal spirit journeys or whether it's an activation, whatever it is. I know you've experienced plenty of them before. But it's whatever I'm tuning into energetically, I'm calling in. I create those journeys, those experiences for people to dive deeper into their internal worlds, their inner worlds, their inner mindscape, and activate that part of who they are, activate a deeper level of their own spirituality and humanity, and get those things to co-create. The other one thing that I would love to share, Anna, is at the end of April, we're going to be doing another training. So Tom, my teacher, and I, we're going to be 2 days. We're going to be teaching people how to use these techniques to create profound relaxations and meditations. Okay. And also support their healing practices. So yes, we've got these new moon journeys up. Yes, these journeys are coming up, but also we're going to continue teaching people how to take others into incredibly rich spaces so that they can do their deeper work as well. So this is coming up at the end of April.
So those that are coming at the end of April are more like for people to guide others.
Yes.
Into the journeys, learning the techniques that you use.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And last year we had Reiki practitioners, tantric masseurs, sound healers, all of these things. But it's how to use free mind hypnotherapy techniques, not the full therapy training, but using them as meditations to take people into deep rest. So you can do whatever you want to do, like a guided journey or Reiki or acupuncture or whatever, in order to deepen that level of healing that those people can do physically and emotionally.
So amazing. And where are those trainings happening? Are they happening online, or how did
all online? All online. So it's 2 days, 2 days of online training on the 22nd and 23rd of April. So it's 2 days, 2 full days of training. And then we have 4 weeks of container afterwards. So we have 4 weeks where, once a week we'll do live Q&As. I'll take people on a live journey to access parts of their own subconscious and support their development, sharing the tech that I use, how to use the tech if they want to use the tech, like music software and stuff during their meditations, if they're doing them over Zoom or doing them live. And helping people really turn those skills on and really amplifying whatever it is they're bringing to the world. Maybe they just want to use it to lead a meditation. Maybe they want to add it to their own healing modalities. But whatever it is, it just amplifies what you're bringing to the world, and it's so incredibly powerful.
And it's beautiful because each person would transform it with their own specific techniques. So the abundance keeps growing. Like you give them tools and they transform them according to what they know and how they do it. So it's really beautiful. How do you call these trainings?
This is the Free Mind Facilitator training.
Okay.
Because there is I'm a free mind rapid change hypnotherapist, and I do the deep work, I do the inner child work, the shadow work, etc. People, but not everyone's designed to be a therapist. Not everyone's designed to go and stand in the shadows and be in that space, and that's cool. But at the same time, though, if you want to deepen your healing practices, and you want to go into that profound relaxation, shut down the monkey mind so they can get on with what they need to be working. You can use these tools, like I say, to amplify what it is you're bringing. It's incredibly powerful, incredibly rich as well. So this is kind of like an intro to hypnotic language patterns, and also how to amplify your own healing modality as well.
Great, Nathan. Well, I am super excited to be able to be part of those experiences, also getting your books. I hope that you ship to different parts of the world, hopefully, because it's amazing to have the real one, like the one that you can touch with your hands. Like I thought at the beginning, before you said you were trying to find someone to do the Kindle version, that all of them were going to be online, but you are going to actually print them.
Yes. Yeah. You just brought me. I'm sorry, you've triggered a new thought, and I'm going to have to kind of come back to this one as well. Is one of the conversations we were having recently around AI was really about the human interaction. And we're shamans. I'm a hypnotherapist. I write my own journeys, and I'm using AI to help me research so I can build these stories and these narratives. And I've also tested it, Anna. I've asked it to write me a hypnotherapy script. I've asked it to write me a shamanic journey. And it just doesn't have the same level of heart. It writes the bare bones. It gives you bullet points. I'll tell them to take a breath. I'll get them to do this. I'll get them to do that. And it's just like, and then you ask it to write a shamanic journey for you or whatever. And it just really, and then you met the fox, and the fox said this, and da 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 da, and it's just like, and now bring them back, and you're just like, well, where's the experience? Where's the feeling? Where are the, the visceral sensations and the emotions? I'm not saying that AI won't have this in the future. For sure, it will. But at the same time, what I'm also seeing, because of the pandemic and because of where we are now, there is a massive yearning, there is a massive calling for the human experience. We've been separated, we were pushed away, we were compartmentalized and contained. We are, more people are saying, oh, when are you going to come face to face? When are we going to see you here? When are you going to come to Canada? When are you going to come to Colombia? When are you going to do whatever? Yeah. It's all of these things is, actually what this is doing, me using the AI in the way that I'm using it is enabling me to touch more people and to share more stuff. But actually is also inspiring people because they want to have that physical experience. They want to understand what it's like to work with Nathan Simmonds, and you can't get heart necessarily at this point in time from AI. Yes, I write these journeys, but there are times when I might be reading my journey or taking you through that process, and I'm like, hold on a minute, there's something else here. There's something else that's coming forward. There's something in my heart. There's something in your heart, and I'm going to express to that. I'm going to talk to that in this moment. And AI can't do that. But what it can do is it can help us to create, it can help us to inspire, it can support us bringing more of us forward as it becomes a tool, an accelerator of our own creation and an accelerator of our own arts as well. So what I find with AI is, yes, it's technology, but it's also inspiring the human connection at the same time.
Completely, of course. And that's what you bring to the table when you do that work, because AI technology, yet, at least not yet, doesn't have that human connection like the heart itself, which is the one that is bringing us all together, even to have these type of conversations. And what you're doing is really sacred, basically.
Yeah. And like I say, you can, yes, I can write a journey. Yes, I'm pouring my heart and soul into that. And at the same time, there is this necessity for human connection, to connect with that, to connect with the individual emotionally, energetically, spiritually, and be that conduit, be the hollow bone, to be the messenger of light into that individual so they can hear what they need to hear, what is coming through you. And you can't get that from something that has been, just bullet pointed or just, spat out of a computer. It just doesn't work like that.
Completely, Nathan. Yeah. I think when people see your work, they will understand. And at the end of the day, this AI technology part is being part of your experience, the way that you are creating them. But at the same time, whoever gets it to be in touch with the journey, at the end of the day, that won't really matter eventually. Like, this is part of the creative process, and we are getting the chance to knowing that because of this conversation that we are having, and probably with the people that you are talking about what these journeys are about. But at the end of the day, when time keeps passing by and the journeys are already there, it doesn't matter how they were made, because the important thing is that they are there as an offering from the heart. So so yeah, like, life finds multiple ways to help us bring through whatever life knows that it's necessary for the world. So
Yeah.
those are the tools that you have been given, and keep using them as best as you can, because what you're creating is really powerful.
Thank you. Thank you. And for sure I will. And there's more to come. There is more to come. Yeah, rest assured.
So beautiful. Yeah, and I know that it's part of your own journey, because you're super conscious of what is going on every day. Like, maybe right now people need more earth uh, medicine, like, or more jungle animals. Maybe we need more air right now. We need more fantasy, and you are super connected to that. So what we are receiving is also that awareness that you have of what's going on energetically and
Yeah.
what is necessary moment by moment. Thank you for that, Nathan. Thank you so much for being here today, sharing your work with us. So
Thank
happy.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
So happy, and I really hope that this message could go through to other people, and that if anyone hears this interview or sharing at a later stage, please leave us your comments, and I'm going to leave you here the social media from Nathan, so you can connect with him. So Nathan is super generous. Like it's amazing. Like when I first start seeing Nathan's work, I was amazed how generous he is. So these trainings that he offers, he's always like putting information out there in order to introduce people to what those trainings are. So I encourage you to connect with Nathan through the different channels. So you can find him on Instagram as Deeper Healing and Beyond. I'm going to leave them here in the comments box as well. Because Nathan has a group, he has created a group on Facebook which is called Deeper Healing and Beyond. And in that group, he shares a lot of information. He keeps us update on where the journeys are, like these new moon cycles also. So it's beautiful because we get to see that like in real time. And at the same time, well, Nathan can also keep us on the updated in the way these journeys, deep journeys of spirit medicine are developing. And when the Amazon links come up, we can know where to get the books. So keep in touch with Nathan through his social media. And thank you so much for that. And as well, I am going to leave you here the Ecosinnova site or social media so you can connect with us as well. Keep in touch to what is happening here in this part of the world and in the ways that we are connecting and getting to understand that we are all part of the same planet Earth, humanity, and how we are creating an ecosystem which is awakened, and we are, yeah, all going towards a beautiful and higher level of love and awareness. So thank you so much for today. Really happy to have you, and I offer you again the chance of having those deep journeys translated to Spanish. We can think about it and see what could happen from there, because it's so much needed as well over here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anna Maria.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Okay, well, do you want to say something short before we close with the hummingbird?
Close with the hummingbird.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank
Nathan.
you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for everyone who left your greetings. So happy to have you there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Nathan, and all the best with these journeys.
Thank you.
Okay, until next time.
Ciao.
Bye. Ciao. Gracias.